Hey, and welcome back to a new year of Rankin. And as always, we're going to kick it off with the top 12 top movies. And I've got a great panel here with me. Don't know if I'm frozen. I leave Chad, how you going?
Hey, it's going great. I'm actually excited for this. I'm excited for 2021, but 2020, despite not being that great of a year, to be honest, there were quite a few really brilliant movies that came out. So I'm excited to talk about them.
But we've also got Chris here. Chris, how's it going?
Going good. It's been an interesting year. I surprised there were a lot of great indie movies that not a lot of people have seen, and there's a few good blockbusters. So, interested to see what people see my list, especially one that could cause some debates on the committee.
And last but not least, we've got Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
Doing well. I wish I had another day left because there are a lot of movies I need to catch up on. But my top 6, I think, are pretty solid.
Yeah, but this is when, like, every year I always work on my top travelers throughout the year. But it's like all these movies I actually really do like. There's a few which didn't make it on that I thought I would have enjoyed more. But with that, we're going to go to Chad first. Chad, what did you 12 to 10?
12 to 10. All right. So I'm going to start out with my 12 is The Trial of the Chicago 7.
That's a big punt.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So then I will go with my 11 is Run from Hulu.
Honorable mention for me.
Okay.
Not on my list.
All right. So I'll briefly talk about Run. I actually put this on my list very recently. I threw it on there because I was debating between like 2 or 3 of them, and then I was like, you know what, Run is actually really cool. It's not the most unique movie in the world. It actually kind of like is very similar to Misery, which I love the book and the movie Misery, but it does kind of a different style concept. Where Misery is, author gets kidnapped by a crazed fan. This is more so something about, I don't want to give too much away, but there's something off about the mom in this movie and the relationship between the mom and the daughter. And it's a really cool thriller and how things kind of develop and you learn what's actually going on. And there's a lot of, there's at least one cool Stephen King reference that made me happy because I'm a big Stephen King fan. So that's Run. I think is really good. I think it's a really good fitting number 11. And then my number 10 is His House. It's another like horror thriller type movie. This movie is actually pretty scary. And you don't really get too many of those too often. You'll get some where you go, well, that was a little scary. This one's pretty scary, and it doesn't go for like the cheap jump scares too much. There are some jump scares, but I just feel like this movie also has like a really deep message about like being a refugee and being forced to leave your home and carrying ghosts with you from where you came from, and your horrific kind of past for your home country being, harmful to you. And then you have to go to a new and scary place and you don't even know if you're going to be accepted there. That's kind of like the themes of His House. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. Obviously no one punted, so I don't think it's on anyone's list, but I quite enjoyed that movie. So that's my 10 through 12.
Chris, what is your 12 to 10?
I will say that Love One made my honorable mention. Really good movie. But my number 12 is a movie, my only TV movie that I included on my list, and this is probably one of the most surprising movies I saw this year. Bad Education, the one with Hugh Jackman, Alex and Jenny.
That's a punt for me.
My number 11 is probably my favorite comedy of the year, the one that made me laugh so much, and on Hulu, Palm Spring.
That's a
Yeah,
tough
it's
one.
also-
And then my number 10 is one I recently just watched, and it's probably a pretty depressing. It's No Man's Land with Frances McDormand.
I don't think
Couldn't
that's
see
out yet. Yeah, out
Yeah.
around yet. So
You must have saw it in a festival or something.
No
I
Man's
think
Land. That's nice. No Man's Land is a really impressive movie about people that live in RVs that are homeless or they're not homeless. Mostly out to Social Security benefit, but Frances McDormand gave a phenomenal performance, and mostly on her. This woman who dealt with loss, she going town to town, job after job, that being herself. It's very slow movie, but also interesting look at like how people's life are after they lose someone and they not sure what to do with themselves. You're not sure where she wants to go. Phenomenal, directing from I forget the female director name, but she had directed Eternal last year. And this year, technically, and I'm really excited to see what she does with a Marvel movie after what she did with this, from her shot to the music to the way she get the acting from Frances McDormand to David Stratham, who give a phenomenal performance role. It's so intimate, but definitely movie, especially if it come out to any of you guys I would definitely recommend. Like,
Stephen, what is your 12 to 10?
all right, these group of movies. You have to understand, I'm still playing catch up on a lot of movies. So the only reason why these are in my top 12 is because I still have a lot of movies to see. Number 12 is Disturbing the Peace, which is not a good movie, but it's a guilty pleasure. I primarily enjoyed it because I think Guy Pearce is really good in it, and it's kind of like an old-fashioned Western in a lot of ways, and you know, not a good movie, but it's enjoyable, and Guy Pearce is great. Oh, and number 11 is Extraction, which I think is an okay movie. So, some of the fight scenes and stunts are great. Chris Hemsworth is really good. I did like the chemistry between him and the kid. But plot wise, it's standard stuff. And number 10 is the rhythm section with Blake Lively.
Ooh.
Wow.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I like the first half more than the second half because the scenes between Blake Lively and Jude Law I thought were actually quite enjoyable. But and even in the second half, even though it's a pretty standard, espionage movie, I like those kind of movies. So rhythm section is number 10.
I actually skipped that one because I heard it was terrible.
Same.
But so on to me from my 12 to 10. My number 12, people probably going to yell at me that I like bad movies. It's maybe true. My number 12 is Wonder Woman 84.
Ooh.
That's
Honorable mention.
that is on my list, but it's close enough that it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I'll still say it's the punt then, because if it wasn't in your bottom 12, then that's what I was meaning. But so, yeah, so my number 11 is the Netflix movie Death to 2020.
Did
Haven't
not see
checked
it.
that one out yet.
Yeah, this is one that if you'd tell me that this would have made my list, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But this is really enjoyable. It's because you got like people like Samuel L. Jackson, Hugh Grant, the mother from How I Met Your Mother. I cannot remember the name now. But you've got a whole bunch of A-list people. You've got some TV people just doing a whole documentary of 2020 in general. And they cover everything from COVID. This is done by the same person who did Black Mirror, Charlie Brooker. And this is just one of those interesting mockumentaries that I think is a lot of fun. It just takes a lot of shit on 2020, just completely annihilates it. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend watch it. And my number 10 is Birds of Prey, or The Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. And apparently no one else has it. But
sadly, no comic book movie made my top 12. They made a lot of my honorable mention.
I really enjoyed this movie. I know there's a lot of people out there that really didn't like Birds of Prey. But I thought this was really fun. And this is just one of those ones that completely bring the spirit of Harley Quinn to life. And it's just one of those ones that just seeing all these characters on screen, like some of other iterations before, like Black Canary, Huntress, and stuff like that. But there's also seeing, and you've got Aquafina in there, it's a bunch of great cast. But this is just a fun movie. I'm a apologist of them. I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad as well. So I thought this was really fun, and so yeah. But yeah, Chad, what is your 10 through to 7? 9 through to 7.
9 through 7. All right. Okay. Well, this is from before. My number 9 is Bad Education. So that was Steven also had that, I think, or no,
Me.
Chris. Okay. Cool. So yeah. Bad Education. I didn't know what to think about this movie going into it. It was like, oh, is this like an HBO movie, which, I think might hurt it for like Oscar contention or something. But, I didn't know what to think about it. I was, wondering where it was going in the, first act kind of. But then, as soon as like, like this big scandal and, newsworthy type stuff starts happening, it's very interesting. And you're just like, and, also just like the performance from Hugh Jackman in this. Like, I'm not a huge Hugh Jackman fan, but like, seeing him in like Logan and then now this, and, hearkening back to, what's that one Nolan film? Anyways, The Prestige. Yeah. So like, I'm just like kind of in amazement about this guy's talent now, like, especially with Bad Education. I just thought he was amazing in this movie. And I think that, performance, as well as the content and the story really like sold it for me. And Allison Janney's also really good in the movie. There's a lot of really cool performance. Oh, also shout out to my boy Alex Wolff from Hereditary that makes an appearance. So I really loved Bad Education. I didn't think I would, and I really liked it. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, same here. To echo what he said, it's really good. Ray Romano is really good in it, and he brings a lot of funny moments in the movie, especially reaction to what's going on. Alex and Jenny, I wish would get more word consideration between Hugh Jackman, because I think he does get a top-notch performance. It's very shocking true story. Especially, I would recommend listening to his podcast after the actual guy podcast. It's very interesting to listen to, and really disturbing true story. I thought one of the best little TV movie I've seen this the past year. And Hugh Jackman, another great performance for him. Like, hopefully we see more good performance, not Penn performance.
Hey,
hell yeah.
Penn is fun. Penn is great. He was great at Penn. So anyway,
my number 8 is actually, this might be maybe a punt. Palm Springs is where I put at 8.
Yeah, Penn.
Okay, cool. I wanted to. I really like it more. Like it, and I was wondering if I should put it higher, but I'm not actually talking about the movie. I was just saying, Okay. Anyways, my number 7 is Soul.
Punt. High punt.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Chris, what is your 9 to 7?
All right, my number 9, and we move it around. It's Defy Blood, the Netflix movie.
That is my number 9. But it's a punt,
yeah. My number 8. Speaking of when we mentioned much earlier, The Trial of Chicago 7.
That's a punt.
It is also my number 8.
Okay.
is a big punt for me.
All right. Moving on to my number 7. Maybe it made some of you guys list. My favorite horror movie of the year, Invisible Man.
That's a punt.
All right. All of my movie got punched. So move on to.
Most of mine,
Stephen,
too.
what is your 9 to 7?
All right. Well, my number 9 is Wonder Woman 84. I don't. The movie after the opening scene is great. After that, it does start off a little shaky, because tonally it's not what I expected. But I do think it gets better as it goes along. I think all of the performances are good. Some of the action is really good, and there's some scenes that kind of took me up a little bit. My number 8.
Yeah, just about. I'll talk about Wonder Woman 84. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I liked Wonder Woman 84 enough. This is one that, going in, I thought it was going to overtake Birds of Prey and become my number 1. So I was a little let down from it, but I still really enjoyed this movie, despite a few problematic scenes when you look at it in hindsight. But
It is kind of weird what they did with Chris Pine.
that is exactly the problematic scene I was talking about.
Very weird.
Especially when you think about the fact that Dinah's sleeping with someone who doesn't know their big sleep. But anyway, but all the performances were great, and I just really enjoyed this. I get why people don't like this, but it's like everyone can't like the same stuff because it'll be a boring place if everyone agreed on everything. So, Stephen, what did you move on to?
My number 8 is Bad Boys for Life.
Almost made it into my list. Almost.
Nice.
I had to cut it
I like
out
that pick, dude.
Yeah, it's, a lot of times when movies like that get a sequel this many years later, it doesn't always work out. But the chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is so great. I won't say who for a spoiler alert, but there is a major character that dies that I kind of saw coming, but wish I was wrong.
That was a cool part of that movie.
I wish they didn't kill him off because he's always been one of my favorite characters. And also, the whole storyline with Will Smith and finding out that he has a son worked surprisingly well. So yeah, at number 7 is Tenet. I don't know.
I
haven't seen it.
Had no chance to make him honest.
Tenet, I think is actually one of Christopher Nolan's lesser movies, but I still enjoyed it, even though a lot of times I didn't understand what was going on, and it's not just because of the sound mixing issues. It was, even with that out, I still think it would have been really confusing. But the performances are great, the action scenes are great, and I enjoyed it. I think it could have been better, but as pure spectacle, it worked.
So my number 9 was already a punt, but it's The Five Bloods. Just to recap that, my 8, just to recap, was Trial of Chicago 7. My number 7. Yeah, no, I know because my 9 and 8 was exactly the same as Chris's. My number 7 is Freaky. With Vince Vaughn.
Haven't seen
I
it.
enjoyed watching it. Then I got so many other movies to watch at the time.
I haven't seen it, but I love the Happy Death Day movies, so I will definitely check it out.
This is one that I went in thinking it's like, oh yeah, this is going to be a movie that's going to end up in the middle of the pack. It's not going to be anywhere near the top. This is fucking fun. I really enjoyed this movie. This is a body swap movie, which I've never seen them do this kind of premise with before, like putting your body into a serial killer and then just seeing Vince Vaughn playing a serial killer was fun. It's what he should have been like in the remake of Psycho that may or may not have happened if you wanted. But I thought this was just a fun movie. This is Blumhouse is showing in recent times that
Hello.
they can take a lot of movies, make them fun and really great. I don't think Blumhouse has had any missteps recently.
Nice.
But Chad, what is your 6 to 4?
6 to 4. All right. Okay. My number 6 is Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Really? Okay. All right. So this
A lot of
movie,
kids didn't get to it.
gotcha. This movie on HBO Max, I had heard quite a bit about from from friends, and I was really interested. I didn't know much about it going in. I knew something about the main character was pregnant, but really, what this movie actually is it's about she's pregnant and she wants to have an abortion. And I know that's like a hot topic. That's not everybody agrees on that, but this movie doesn't really. I'm pulling from my Chris Stuckman here. The movie doesn't really tell you what to think and what to believe. It basically just shows you this journey and the difficulty of what she has to go through because she kind of lives in like a conservative town. She's got a conservative adults around her that just don't really understand or really accept her decision there, and they even try to spread false information and stuff like that to her. But it's a really deep movie, and it really puts you in the shoes as a dude who would never have to go through anything like that. I really felt for her still, and I was like, this kind of really opens my eyes. I don't know if I felt opposite of what I do now, not to get too political, but I don't know if it could change my mind, but I think it would at least you are able to empathize with this character really well, and I thought it was just a really great movie the way they did it. So that was my number 6, and my number 5, The Five Bloods.
I think this is where we talk about this.
All right, cool. So yeah, I actually watched this last night. And I haven't seen a ton of Spike Lee joint. I've seen a few, and I've seen the ones I've seen are amazing. So I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I had heard some high praise, but the talk had died down quite a while ago since I was watching it pretty late. But I put this on with the wife, and we were watching through this. We didn't know what to expect, and then oh man, we were along for the ride at all the there's not twists and turns per se, but things happen, and it goes on it's a really deep movie, but it's a really funny movie, and when people do die in this movie, and when it happens, it's kind of it's sad, but it's kind of uplifting in a way because it's there's this brotherhood of guys from Vietnam War where they cemented themselves as this brotherhood, and then there's kind of betrayal and search for gold. It's kind of an adventure movie. They use a lot of music from Marvin Gaye's album What's Going On, and that album is brilliant. That album basically kind of was an anthem for a generation, and it kind of so is this movie a little bit where it's talking about these people that were friends back then, and then in the movie they kind of talk about how when it takes place back in the past, they talk about Martin Luther King Jr. dying, and then everybody is kind of upset about that, and they're if someone was killed over racism and we're out here fighting a war for this country, we don't get any respect, and yet we're out here dying for this country. And so it's just a really deep movie. And did you expect anything less from a Spike Lee joint? So I really like this movie quite a bit. I kind of want to watch it again very soon. So yeah.
I think we all had The Five Bloods. So Chris,
yeah, I had it at number 9.
9.
So I love this movie. This is Speaking of a great year for Best Actor, Delroy Lindo's performance in this is stunning as hell. His monologue to the end of the film is one of the more intense moment and more reflected. Everybody in the cast is great. Num Lewis is really good. Everybody in the cast put on a great performance. And once again, phenomenal directing for Spike Lee. And then the story itself, the emotion, and R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman really gave a great performance model of this movie. Like, it hit you on shoulder that Delroy Lindo did not get Oscar nomination. The Academy Awards and go to hell.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Stephen?
I actually haven't seen it. It's on my list of movies next to see.
Nice.
But yeah, I also had The Five Bloods at 9. And like early on, this is one that that early on, I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be a lot of Oscars. But with a lot of movies that come out recently, it could get lost in the shuffle. I agree with you. All the performances were great. That Delroy Lindo and Chadwick could get nominated, but this is one that because it came out early in the year, and because there's a lot of movies coming out that is still eligible, because for 2020 movies, the eligibility is going to lock at end of January now, as opposed to already locked. So
Actually, I think it's February.
So yeah, this is one that could be really interesting, because Chadwick's got another really great performance in this year, so he could be nominated twice. But with that, Chris, what is your 6 to 4?
All right.
Oh wait, you haven't said your 4 yet, have you, Chad?
Oh, no, I have not. Nope. All right, my number 4 is I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
I would really watch it, and I didn't get around to watch it. Yeah.
Gotcha. I've actually so now I can talk about this. I actually have seen this movie twice now.
No, this is a punt.
Oh, it is.
I've got it higher.
Oh, sorry about that.
Chris, what is your 6 to 4?
Okay, coming at number 6. Hopefully a punt for you guys. It's because Travis Boseman, while rating Black Bottom. Nobody?
I haven't seen it.
All right, so
I have seen it. I like it, but
yeah. This is one of the films I've watched it pretty late at night with my family, especially a long day. But this is a film that I was stuck in for start to finish because Travis Boseman. Besides my number 3, I think that there'd be a showdown between him and one of the actors for Best Actor. It's a phenomenal performance from his. The way he speaks, even he looked ill in the movie, but the monologue he gave in the middle of the movie, I gave much away about what happened to his mom. It's like one of the most intense, one-shot moments that I just stuck with me. Viola Davis, phenomenal. All of the people in the band, like one of them, I forget the actor that played him, the one that ended up not spoiling too much dying at the end, should also get Oscar nomination. Because he gets such a great one little monologue playing on the piano that get with you. The writing is great, the acting is great, directing, especially to take one set itself, besides a few moments when they go outside, is really amazing. And everything for the way it written to the way the performance, it's just a film that stayed with you, right? Just like Fences did. I was engaged for such a minute. I got emotional, I laughed, I cried, and it ended chilling beyond doubt. Travis for Best Actor, maybe.
Yeah.
Viola Davis in that movie too. Yeah.
And the other guy who I keep forgetting to name, the very famous actor director from and then Here Come the Hate, and people would say did not count as the movie, but fuck it, Hamilton is my number 5.
Punt.
Ooh, that's a punt. Yeah, it's a punt. That's on my list.
Yeah.
Coming
in number 4, another movie I just recently saw that could be a huge Oscar contender for Best Actress, Promising Young Woman, the Carey Mulligan movie.
Ooh, I want to see that. I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I'm not really saying too much because I think you should go in this movie really blind. The trailer did not represent the movie well. It's a whole different movie than what the trailers show. But it is a phenomenal dictatorial performance for Kay Mulligan as this woman insecure with her light, and she does a bunch. There are huge, shocking reasons why, especially when you watch the trailer, why she's doing what she does. And there are great seeing Alfred Molina show up briefly in the movie, and he gave probably one of the best supporting performance in the movie. Clancy Brown is great as a dad. He's very warm, kind of different what you usually see from him. But Kay Mulligan, phenomenal. The story really good. The ending, like the viewers said the same thing. I have issue with one part of the ending, but I think the last 10 minutes are brilliant, especially the way it pay off. I think it's intense. It's thoughtfully funny. There are really funny moments, especially where Christopher Platt had this really funny thing with Kay Mulligan. And the way she turned the table on people, like you see in the trailer, trying to turn the table on the guy. And she played a lot of it for laugh, a lot of it for shock. I can't really blame the movie because this movie plot is really hard to explain without going into spoilers. Because don't go in, don't watch the trailer, don't watch the movie, you're in for a good ride. And Kay Mulligan should win for Best Actress. I have not seen one. Besides her and Frances McDormand, there'd be an interesting way to see who's going to win.
Stephen, what is your 6 to 4?
All right, this is where my list starts to get better. Number 6 for me is The Devil All the Time from Netflix.
Haven't
Is
seen
that
it.
is that the Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson one?
Yeah.
I like
Okay.
it. Did I love it?
Yeah, when the movie ended, I admit I was a little mixed on it because the movie is heavy on contrivances and coincidences that are sometimes hard to swallow. And also, almost all of the adult characters in this movie are depraved, and at times in the middle of the movie, I was starting to think that it was kind of wallowing in its depravity. But it's well acted all around. It's rich in atmosphere, and there are a lot of scenes that are really compelling and powerful. And it's also one of those movies that actually lingers and stays with you after it's over. So I actually ended up liking it more in retrospect than when the movie originally ended. Number 5 is Sound of Metal.
Yeah, punt.
Punt.
For sure.
All right, then number 4 for me is The Old Guard.
All right.
I liked it.
I like it. I need to rewatch it again. I stopped watching it by halfway through. I got kind of angry with it.
I mean, I admit that it probably would have worked better as a series rather than a movie, just because there's so much great backstory with the characters that goes unexplored. But hopefully they do that in the sequel. I mean, I think they're supposed to be making a sequel. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting story. Charlize Theron and the rest of the cast is great. The action scenes are fantastic, and it leaves you off, wanting more. I think, and looking forward to where they go next with these characters.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is badass. I should say that.
And I love what her character goes through from beginning to end. So it'll be really interesting to see how they continue to develop her, and hopefully if they make a sequel.
I mean, I need to give another watch. I just was so annoyed with the guy from Harry Potter that played Dudley Harry
I
Potter.
love him. He's in the Queen's Gambit. I love him.
Was that your number 4?
Yeah, The Old Guard was number 4. Yeah.
All right. My number 6 was the Disney Plus original Black Beauty.
Have not seen it.
I didn't even know this exists.
It's insane.
I was scrolling through Disney Plus one day and saw Black Beauty starring Kate Winslet. This was like, this is really interesting. But yeah, I admit knew nothing about this book. Like I knew the book was written by Anna Sewell, but I've never read anything of it. But this is just a really fun movie because you've got Kate Winslet as the voice of the horse who's narrating the story and all that. Yeah, the best way to explain this movie is it's a coming of age movie from the perspective of a horse. And Kate Winslet is essentially Black Beauty, and she's just narrating the whole thing. You've got
pretty much like Spirit, pretty much.
Like what?
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it almost sounded like Warhorse. Because that's also told through the point of view of the horse.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as I said, I don't know much about this book. I think this is the way the book is kind of done too. But I mean, it's got a great cast in it. But you've got Mackenzie Foy, who plays the main character Joe. Claire Filani's in this.
I haven't seen her in a while.
But yeah, this is just a really great movie. This is one that I expected to watch, and another one that I just didn't expect to be in this list. And in hindsight, if more movies came out, it probably wouldn't. but this is just a fun movie, a very sweet movie. I did cry a lot in this movie of some of these circumstances that the horse goes through. But yeah, my number 5 is Palm Springs.
That's
Yeah,
yeah, that's a slight pun.
And my number 4 is one that's been sitting there since the start, really early on years when it came out, is Emma.
Oh, I love that movie. It made my list in my own
That's a good movie.
Yeah, the fact it stayed up there with all the other things that came out surprised me. But I love my period dramas, and this version of Emmett was no exception. With Bill Nighy, Anya Taylor-Joy, and all that in this cast, it just worked, and it's just really fun to see this. I thought that all the costumes were phenomenal, but yeah. But Chad, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is The Invisible Man.
Yeah, we get to talk about it.
Okay, cool. Now I can talk about it. Yeah, I saw this. I think this might have been the second to last movie I saw in the theater. I think maybe I did a double feature with this and Onward. But this movie, like Lee Winnell from back when he did Saw, like it's like, you know, that one was really great. I mean, directed by James Wan, not Lee Winnell, but like, you know, that guy going from like writer to director, like, you know, slowly when he started to do like Insidious and stuff, I was like, eh. But when he did Upgrade and then he did The Invisible Man, I'm now like, holy shit, what is this guy's becoming like legendary pretty much. The Invisible Man's fantastic because, you know, I really love horror movies myself, and I really love when they like have something to say other than just trying to scare you. And this movie does both of those things. It's pretty scary because, you know, a lot of times you're like, is there even a villain in this movie? Because you don't know what's going to pop out of anywhere. You can't, you know, there might be a villain you can't even see. And, you know, this kind of plays into the whole theme of domestic abuse and just kind of always looking over your shoulder. Because I think for like, you know, people who have been abused and stuff, they're always kind of looking over their shoulder for, you know, something to go off because they, you know, that's what they're conditioned to kind of feel, how they feel. And, you know, when she finally gets out of her first situation, you know, they're talking about like it's a big step just for her to go to the mailbox and, you know, stuff like that. And you really feel for this character. And Elizabeth Moss is brilliant, I think, in this movie. And, you know, really all the actors are. And I really love, you know, the cinematography, the way he moves the camera, and just kind of like sets up the environments, and and then is able to tell like a really cool story. And I love how everything plays out. I love the the strength that basically she shows throughout the movie and her arc, to go from this helpless, scared person who can't even go to the mailbox to how she is at the end of the movie. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it's a really good horror movie, and I love it a lot.
Chris, what is your?
I talk about Visible. So Visible Man is just everything I have to say and 10 times more. I've been a huge little bit more fan since Mad Men to Handmaid's Tale to now this. This movie was one of the movies that should not have been good, but it was better than what it was. For the scares to the dinner scene, it was one of the only time I ever got right out loud in the movie theater where that knife show up. Like, to the ending, like, I really applaud the ending. I want to stand up and applaud how they ended that film. Like, it's so satisfying. And then to be about domestic abuse, make it so complex and you care about Elizabeth Moss so much, you're rooting for her. And for a movie that had only an $8 million budget, it's surprising, especially the kitchen fight scene. Like, that scene itself, when she's getting dragged and being thrown around, like, it's just like everything is so good. I can't wait to see what Lee will now do with the Wolfman. Like, after what he did with this, what he did with the Wolfman Escape from L.A., New York remake that he painted, yes.
Stephen, you didn't have Invisible Man, did you?
I haven't seen it yet.
Chris, move on to your number 3.
Okay, another film I guess none of you guys have seen. The other
So are we doing my 3 to 1 or?
Yeah, the 3.
No, we're going one at a time now.
Oh, sorry, apologies.
Yeah.
So my 3 is another film that I know a lot of people have seen. So I just saw it recently, and besides Chadwick, did the other best performance in the best actor category. It's Anthony Hopkins, The Father.
Oh, I really want to see that movie.
I don't think it comes out until February.
I'd like it on it. A movie about a person dealing with dementia, and it took from his perspective. It really, and like psychological look at someone dementia depressing is that Anthony Hopkins gave out his best performance in Silence of the Lambs. This is like, for the struggle he had putting on his shirt, to the way he talked, the way his eyes look. Also, a really phenomenal performance as Olivia Colman and his daughter having to deal with helping her dad out. And it's so like so many ways that get you guessing, trying to figure out what is real, what is not, what's going in his head, what is actually true. And it's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. As for someone who had a family member who suffers from dementia, it really hit hard on a lot of levels. But yeah, this is a film that I definitely recommend when it comes out to you, whether on streaming or on in the theater. Definitely check out. The Andy Hopkins and the between him and Chadwick both with the best actor right now. But maybe a dark horse with my number 2 actor. But yeah, bravo! Right, another great film about talking about difficult subjects such as dementia. Make it so realistic and so unnerving. Little humor here and there. They do get a couple little chuckle out of me, but definitely a great performance for him. Olivia Colman definitely will be in the best supporting consideration. And everybody else in the film, I won't spoil who show up, but there are a couple of nice little actors cameos there. Especially the way they come into the film and what you realize what they really are hit you on a different level.
Stephen, what is your number 3?
So my numbers 3 through 1 are actually all punts. My number 3 is Palm Springs.
You finally get to talk about it.
Yeah, this is just a really delightful and funny movie, and I was really I haven't seen Celeste and Jesse Forever, which I know Andy Samberg got a lot of good reviews for. But usually when I see Samberg, I like him, but he's usually a very hammy. and very likes to mug in front of the camera. This he actually gives a real performance here, and I love the chemistry with him and the leading lady. I don't
Christina
remember.
Maloney.
Yeah,
The
they're
mom
so
for heaven.
they're so great together, and they're like the number one reason why this movie works as well as it does. Of course, there's also some great supporting performances from people like J.K. Simmons, and
Right, right.
Uh,
yeah, so yeah, Palm Springs is my number 3 movie.
Yeah, I Palm Springs at number 5. This is one I went into not knowing what to expect because I'm getting really sick and tired of these movies which do the whole Groundhog Day time loop scenarios.
I
But
don't think I'll ever get tired of them.
oh, trust me, like if they're done poorly, I really do. Like why? But so I was fully expecting I wasn't going to like this movie, despite how well as praised. But I was surprised to find it was really enjoyable. And even though it was a time loop movie, this is one that did it a different thing by making it into a rom com and just having them sort of having to try and find each other again. And this was just a lot of fun. There's not much more that I really want to say, but yeah.
Kev, what you had it higher than me, or me? I have it higher than you.
Doesn't matter. Someone talk about it.
Right. You know what?
I'll
I
go
go.
last.
Palm Springs is one of the film I've written, not having seen the trailer, that kind of went blind because everybody would talk about it. I laughed so hard. I was watching my living room. I should have stopped laughing at point. J.K. Simmons, can we just get him to play a serial killer now? Because the way he take out any damage at ridiculous ways, like the lighting him on fire in a pool, I don't remember that moment, and like he did great. And the scene with him at December to the end touched me a lot when he finally come around on it. Christina Maloney, I think that's how you say her name, is a phenomenal actress. Been a big fan of her since I saw her in Once Above It. I got to meet her after the show, luckily. Such a nice person. I'm happy she's getting some role now. She's very funny. The police, when police pulled him over moment, I think the most funniest moment with her. And the way she get aggravated with J.K. Simmons does. Andy Diamond, I'm not the biggest fan of, but time you come around on him, I think he was very funny, very delightful, very sympathetic. Peter Gallagher is really good in a small cameo. Everybody in the film is really good. It's very touching, very sweet, had some emotional side to it, and very satisfying ending. I love Palm Springs. Like anybody haven't seen it yet, please go watch it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, Palm Springs, it's been a while since I've seen it. I really need to watch it again. I think it's pretty short. But like, yeah, these movies, I don't know, I might be wrong here, but these time loop movies always usually seem to be pretty good, actually. So, I mean, the concept may get a little tiring, but we got what? Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow, Happy Death Day, and then, Palm Springs. And it's like, they usually try to find good, unique ways to do this. And in this one, dude's already like in it. And then you find that out slowly. And then, the chemistry between, Andy Samberg. I really like Andy Samberg. I'm a big Lonely Island fan, SNL, Digital Shorts, all that stuff. His cop show, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But this movie, it could just be a silly comedy. But it's pretty deep with, where they go with like, their relationship. And, I think there's a beat with like J.K. Simmons where he gives him life advice and, stuff like that. And, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know if maybe I should have put it higher. But it's just been such a while since I've seen it. So I was like, And so, I threw it at 8. Maybe it should have been higher, but I really struggled with like my top 5 and my 6. So, I love this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, same. I struggled with that and honorable mention, like 2 crazy out of content movie that really worked more well.
But anyway, My number 3 is Hamilton.
Yay.
That's a punt still, but okay.
Chad, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Sound of Metal.
We both had the same too, actually.
Okay. All right, so I'll talk about it now then. Yeah, Sound of Metal. I didn't actually know how this movie was going to unfold. I had heard a little bit about it before. I did watch the trailer. I thought it was going to be a lot more about the music side of things with the movie. It wasn't, and I wasn't upset about it. It starts out with the really loud music and him trying, with his girlfriend trying to go and just play like really loud metal, and all of a sudden he just basically loses his hearing. Like it's not really slow; it's kind of dramatically quick, and that's scary as hell. Just to think about that happening, even if you're not like blaring stuff into your ears all the time, just to think about that could happen. It's just a really scary concept, and the way they do, they structure like the sound in this movie just really puts you in his shoes. I'm a big fan of this, where they put you into a character's shoes and make you go through what they have to go through, so you can kind of like see how it is. And now I kind of look at like people who are like deaf and stuff a totally different way, because you don't really know what they're going through, and and stuff. So this movie, with the sound design and the way they included like actual deaf actors in the movie to help Riz Ahmed go through it. It's like Riz Ahmed and Olivia Cook in this movie. Great performances. I really dug this movie quite a bit, and I think more people should see this one. I really want to watch this one again. I love it.
Yeah, actually what Chad say, Paul Wasey, I think the guy named that played the captain himself that interact with the Mandalorian. Phenomenal, best supporting actor to help he get in consideration for nomination. Doesn't matter, that said, is there anybody that could pull it off her and take the award away from Anthony Hopkins and Travis Boyd? It would be with the man. He is, from start to finish, really great, like really intense. Like the way he look, even without dialogue, him dealing with barely hear anything, and the way he interacting with people, it hit your all attention. Olivia Cook is also really good. I'm happy she's getting some more work. I've been a big fan of her for a while, and the film is great. The way they use sound from like when they go deaf to the way the sound, like even when they minimize the sound, which he could barely hear, so it hit you on level. Danny and Dina, we watch the movie again to see how I feel about Danny Estelle, because it kind of leave you with thinking a lot, but it's just such a good movie. I'm happy, like, it came out of nowhere for me. I went and, once again, like, Pumping Brian didn't know anything about it. Watch on Amazon Prime Network. Pleasantly surprised. And with the man, happy to see him have a comeback after Venom, pretty much.
Great year for indie movies.
And Chris. Oh, so that was number 2 as well, Chris?
I think Steven, did you have it on your list?
Yes, it was number 5 on my list.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I haven't seen The Father or Ramini yet. So Riz Ahmed would currently be my pick for Best Actor, and I think the movie ends on a note perfect scene with him taking off his things and looking around in silence for just a few minutes. And it was the perfect way to end the movie. And also when the end credits start going, at first it's silent. So that made it even better, I think.
Once you give a warning to people who are watching that we might be talking about spoilers.
But Chris, Sound of Metal was your number 2.
Yeah.
Yep. So Stephen, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Soul.
Punt.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
My number 2 is I'm thinking of ending things. But yeah, this is a movie which going into this, I didn't know what to expect, just because it's Charlie Kaufman and like the premise of the movie just sounds strange to me. But I went in and I went in and thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I and I just went and watched it. It was great. Like Jesse Plemons, and all that, and Tony Collette were great in this movie. But yeah, there's not much more I can remember about this movie because I haven't seen it since. But it stayed in my top 12, so it must be good.
That was
On my list to watch.
Who? Someone else have it?
Yeah, it was my 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this movie came out. I'm not like a huge Charlie Kaufman fan or anything. I am a huge Jesse Plemons fan. Friday Night Lights is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So I love Jesse Plemons. Going into this, I was like, I love him. I love Jessie Buckley from Wild Rose. She's great. So I was like, I have to watch this movie. But like, you know, you get through the car part, and then when they actually get to the place and it starts to get really weird, you're just like, what? I didn't even actually like review this movie after I watched it because I was like, I don't even know what I just saw. This movie is strange as hell. And you know, if you think it's going to be strange, you're like, I've seen Strange before. I would say just check this movie out if you haven't seen it, and then you'll be like, okay, that's pretty strange. Unless I just don't have a good concept of strange, but this movie is definitely weird. But I just watched this movie again in preparation for this because I was like, you know, where should I put this on my list? It was so odd, but like it just feels like a really good movie and just like really deep and artistic. And I've heard some people say it feels pretentious. I don't really get that from this movie. I just feel like, you know, Kaufman just made a really good movie. And I read a little bit about what things mean, and I'm not going to give it away, but it makes a lot more sense if you like read up on the movie. And Kaufman was even like saying like, you know, oh, I wrote all this out, but you could probably just understand it by watching the movie. And I was like, damn, Charlie, I'm dumb. I don't know what to tell you. I had to read up on it a little bit. But yeah, this movie is fantastic. It's all about, you know, people not being there for you, you not wanting to, you know, be lonely, you know, not being scared to get older, and just wanting someone to grow old with. And you know, it's about relationships and just that fear, and it's really great. And you know, it moved me. And there's a really nice song, like musical song performance by Jesse Plemons in it, and it's amazing. There's a dance number. It's a really fun movie, but it's kind of depressing but weird. I love it.
But before we go into number ones, because I think based on the punts, I think for 3 people's number ones are probably known already. But I'm going to go around the table and just say what 4 honorable mentions would have been. Chad, what are 4 honorable mentions that missed your list?
Oh, honorable mentions. Okay. You said only 4?
Yep.
Okay. Probably The Assistant. I really like that one. I really liked Happiest Season. That was a really fun Christmas movie with Dan Levy in it. Trying to like note ones that haven't been mentioned. Miss Americana. I've been growing into like more of like a Taylor Swift fan, and you know, this was a really like real deep documentary about her. And I guess the other one that I'll throw out there is I guess The King of Staten Island. I like that one quite a bit too. That was actually really funny, and really personal look at Pete Davidson and his life. But it wasn't a documentary. It was a pretty good movie.
Chris, what are 4 of your honorable mentions? You don't have to say 4; you can just say up to 4. So
So the other weird concept movie I've seen not a lot of people have seen is the Catherine Langford Spontaneous, which is a really smart indie hard comedy romance movie where they go to high school and people's brains start to explode out for no reason, so they quarantine the kid and their romance between her and Christopher kind of have a treat edge to it. Onward is really good. I really love Onward. That almost made my list. The Way Back with Ben Affleck I thought were really good. That not a lot of people thought Ben Affleck did one of his best performances. I mean, I could go on and on. I look at every Bad Boy for Life. I did love a lot. I like Better Play, like Wonder Woman. Like, there's just so much movie that came out this year that went under the radar that I feel like, but it's been a good year. It did be interesting. And Mank. I like Mank as well. I didn't love Mank like some people did at Birthday. I like it not to put in my honorable mention, especially for Amanda Seyfried performance. So I think they'll get into the best supporting actress consideration. And maybe win.
Stephen, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
I honestly don't have any at this moment. I might if you ask me this a week from now, but not right now.
Yeah.
I'll steal one of Steven's. Host was really awesome.
But yeah, for me, The Invisible Man just missed out on my top 12. I had Mank. The New Mutants was I really enjoyed. It was a great horror movie. And The Personal Lives of David Copperfield is another one that almost made my list. But for that, we're going to go into number ones. Chad, what is your number one?
All right, it's here. I've had arguments with people. I'm sure it sounds like Chris has as well about whether this qualifies as a movie. I know it's out of the box a little bit. It's a staged they filmed a performance on a theater, but they released it on Disney Plus, and it's like 3 hours. It's got a really good runtime. It's Hamilton. So that's. I got this shirt. I love Hamilton. I never got to see it in 2015 or 16, whenever it first came out, actually like on stage. And, I saw it when it like first came out, and then I went, oh my God, I love this. And I've listened to the soundtrack now. I don't know how many times. I've only seen it once, but I've listened to it so many times. I feel like I've seen it unlimited countless times. And I just love the story from this. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda's performance in this, but then you have what's his name?
Yoda Jr.
David Diggs.
Yeah, yes. Actually, both of those. I meant Aaron Burr, but yeah, is fantastic in that too. I just love the story. It's got so many layers. You hear different things every single time you listen to it. I really want to watch it again, show all my family who haven't seen it, this movie, and just like he takes like a story you think and then he goes, oh, you remember that thing you learned about, Aaron Burr getting shot, in history class? Well, here's an awesome musical about it. I think this is one of, if not the greatest musical ever made. It's definitely my favorite, and I just love the spin they do with, rap and hip hop music, but it's more than that. There's actual like singing and songs, and it's so beautiful. The guy who plays George Washington is fantastic, and with his voice too. And I really love this movie quite a bit. I was kind of like, should I put this at number one? There's so many good movies out, and this movie is kind of a technicality, but Malcolm counted it, and I was like, oh yeah, all right.
Well, a lot of critics have Spike Lee's David Byrne's American Utopia on their list, which I believe is also a film stage play. So if that movie counts, certainly Hamilton counts.
Boom.
Yeah, Well, I mean, look, this has been arguments central, and I know Caleb Coho's leading the charge for it as a movie, but yeah, this is definitely a movie. Like, it's a concert film, which is still a movie, even though it itself didn't come out until 2016. But yeah, one of my friends, ever since it came out on Broadway, was like, oh, listen to the soundtrack. You'll really love. I was like, no, I'm not going to listen to a soundtrack to a musical that I had not seen on stage
Same.
because
That's how I
because
was.
because even it's one of those ones like I like listening to the songs from musicals a lot, but it's also one of those ones like if I'm not seeing the musical, I want to see those songs in context first on stage, the way it's supposed to be. And this is one that I'm glad I finally got to see it because there was no way I was going to get the money to fly over to America or to go to Broadway because it's about $2,000 from New Zealand to America.
Wow.
Just plane ticket alone. But yeah, so I'm glad that they released this. I'm glad they decided to show the stage show before the eventual movie they decide to make of it comes out. You all know it's going to happen. It's popular enough to get one. But yeah, this is a really fun movie. And yeah, I don't think there is anything else to say about this. So, Chris, go on to your number one.
Well, no, I didn't talk about Hamilton. I have it in my number 5.
Oh, I forgot you had.
I mean, I might be the lucky bastard here. I got to see Hamilton on Broadway a while back.
Ooh, cool.
I got to see it after the original cast left. I love it when I saw Broadway, but the movie brought more to it than I think when I saw Broadway, especially being up close and personal. So the stuff you pick up on Who Live, Who Die, You Tell a Story is one of the songs that hit me emotional on front. Definitely be watching it. And like Jonas Jr., Lin-Manuel Miranda, Jonathan Groff, King George is probably one of his songs are some of the most funniest moments in the show. I laughed so hard. Jonathan Groff is one of my favorite Broadway actors. It is Nate Goldberry, the one that played Eliza, I always forget her name, is really good. Everybody in the cast does top-notch performances, and it showed that I got into an argument with people that say, oh, it's a good show but not a great show, but in one of the more important Broadway show there is, like, from teach us lessons to telling us that, there are more people in history that we don't talk about besides his family father. Talk about Hamilton, and then you realize at the end, this is about Eliza and her trying to figure out Hamilton's life, pretty much, for her telling her the story of who she thought Hamilton was, everybody thought Hamilton was. Then that last moment when she got, and it's kind of her realizing that now her story being told, you can interpret it that way and it hit you on front. I mean, it's a phenomenal show for Dr. British, but on Broadway on Disney Plus, happy they did it. I don't think it worked well as a movie just because of the rap concert itself. Not to have reverse, but my shot, and you'll be back one last time. Like every song, perfect. I love Hamilton. I'm hoping to get tickets to see again Broadway when Broadway reopen because this show I definitely love rewatching, listening to. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda creating 2 masterpieces in the past couple of years with that and Height. And Moana as well. He's going on a big word. Love it. Like, what more can I say that I haven't been saying? And the only time I agree with Caleb Coho, Hamilton is the movie. Everybody say so, then go shut the door behind them.
Anyway, Chris, what is your number one?
So on Christmas Day, I had watched a movie that day. About Wonder Woman with LA, and then I watched this film. This is a film that affected me more than I thought it would. I still questioning my life after watching it. It's Soul. I think Soul is one of the most beautiful Pixar movie there ever is. I think for a concept itself, to try to figure out what you like going for, if you don't have a purpose, what life is. And when Jamie Foxx said that to his mom movie, it hit me all that I question my life still. And it's just like, it's funny, insightful. The way they do the afterlife and the content before is such a creative way. There's some really funny inside joke where it's like, one had the functional personality, one had a did. And then the little joke, even at a New York fan, the next joke, I think one of the most funniest adult joke in a Pixar movie. I just died laughing, knowing that the next sucks, and then they kind of do a good job at that. But Jamie Foxx is phenomenal. Tina Fey is great. Yeah, we just argue about the ending, whether they should have just let him go on to the afterlife rather than him have a second chance life. But I think it's beautiful, like giving a second chance life and living your life to the fullest. And had so much emotional context than you realize when you're just sitting there and you see it going one direction and then it go a completely different direction than what you expect. Especially with the message itself. It's a film that needs to be shown today. A film that happy got made. And especially with what we're on today. Pete Docter is without doubt the best director working at Pixar today. From Monster Inc. to Up to Inside Out to now this. Like masterpiece after masterpiece. And he made a mature Pixar movie that you would think were made for kids and more made for adults. And it's still funny. Tina Fey get a bunch of good laughs in the movie. The Abraham Lincoln mentor joke made me laugh so much. like all of the little inside joke. I want Disney short now just based on mentorship. Just to see different mentors. I think that would be such a funny short Disney Plus. But yeah, I mean, Soul is a film that had me thinking since I've seen it, and definitely a film that we watch again and again. And cry. I cried about 5 times in that movie at that. Really saying something about Pixar movie. And what more can I say? There's just so much about the movie I can say, but anybody who watches it have not seen it, don't watch it. You're in for something. I don't want to go into too much spoilers about it.
But Stephen, you had it a little bit lower down, but
Yeah, I had it at number 2. So obviously I love it. But I will say about midway through the movie, while I was really enjoying it, I was also thinking that it was kind of silly. But the last 15 to 20 minutes of this movie are actually very moving, and it ended up making me really loving the movie as a whole. Also, I had no idea watching the movie throughout that it was Tina Fey voicing 22 until I saw her name in the end credits. So I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was her.
Nice.
Also, they better win for best score. That movie is one of the most beautiful scores I think this year for any movie.
that would be what it's nominated against.
I had Soul at 7 actually. So Soul. That's kind of where I was going to lead it off, was talking about the score, because it was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross who did like Mank and The Social Network and stuff, dude. Like, these people know what the hell they're doing. And I just love when you have like people like Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails doing a film score, and you're just like, well, it doesn't sound like rock music. It's like jazzy and all this stuff. It's just fantastic. And I think that alone just kind of like elevates this film. But then you have like a lot of the deep stuff. Like, yeah, I get the thing about it being a little silly. That's true. There's a lot of like really fun jokes and stuff, but you are wondering where this movie is going the whole time. Well, not the whole time, but then like towards the second half or whatever, you're just like, okay, I'm on board with this now. And you're hoping for this dude to get what he wants, and then he comes to like some sort of realization about that later, and it just kind of makes you think about your own life, and just makes you think like, if I get where I think I want to go, am I going to be happy? And then like you go, maybe not. Maybe it's actually the journey, and like what, just enjoying the journey, the path there, because you may not, it might not even turn out the way you want it to go. And it's just like these kid movies that just like, well, I guess they're not kid movies, right? But it's animated films that like talk about, allude to like real life and make you think about your own life and mortality and all this stuff. It's just I didn't know what to expect with this movie, and I really liked it quite a bit. I probably should have put it a little higher, but I liked a lot of movies this year, and I really want to watch this one again. Really great.
Also, great side character with the
Cat.
the guy that helped. Yeah, the guy that helped them out later on, that kind of like the hippie and everything.
Oh, right.
His little
That
running
was a
gag.
great time.
Yeah,
So
I forget
Graham
his
Norton.
name.
Graham Norton voiced the guy.
Yeah, he's so
That's
funny
cool.
in this film.
But yeah, Stephen, what was your number one?
My number one is The Trial of Chicago 7.
Nice.
Yeah, this is the second directorial effort for Aaron Sorkin, and I really loved Molly's Game, but I think this is even better. And it's too bad the Oscars don't have an award for Best Ensemble Cast, because I think this would be a shoe-in, because everyone in this movie is great. I don't even know how you could, pick and choose which ones to highlight, because, everyone, especially Baron Cohen, who I have not been impressed with his acting in other live action movies. Like, I love Hugo, but I didn't love him in it. He's actually great in this. Eddie Redmayne, Michael Keaton, and Frank Langella does a great job of making you hate his character. And that's the thing with this movie too, is that it's a very, this is a movie that really makes you angry at the whole justice system. Like everyone from cops to the judge to politicians. So and unfortunately, it's probably still like that today.
Mhm.
Like Trial of Chicago 7's one that I enjoyed. This was my 7. But like the performances was what helped get it into here. For me, a lot. I do have when it comes to movies, the whole movie is essentially a court case of sorts. I do tend to get lost in it sometimes, and this is a case of this. Not to knock the script or direction, but yeah, it's still made by a top 12, but it's one that in any other year when other movies came out, this might not be on here. So, Chad, what your thoughts? You drove Trial of Chicago 7?
Yeah, I actually had that one at 12. I watched that back when we were doing the rank 'em for Michael Keaton, and I watched it, and at the time I really liked it quite a bit because I love trial movies, and this one had a lot of humor in it, which I don't think you usually get with these types of movies, and so I was like, oh well, that's a neat like kind of addition and take on this type of film. And like all the performances you guys have said, absolutely. So Sacha Baron Cohen surprised me. I really love Mark Rylance's voice, so that I was like, just him being that lawyer, I was really really digging that. And you love. Well, I don't know if you love to hate. You kind of hate to hate the dead judge, but basically, the story was pretty intriguing. I think in the case itself. And where it shows, because I'm a fan of true crime. My wife is a lawyer. She reads up on a lot of these cases, and we listen to podcasts about like cases where lawyers will go in and kind of like fudge things up to get jury selection done their way, and and stuff like that. And this is kind of like you're just sitting there the whole time where that one dude does not have his lawyer, and you're just like, give him his lawyer. You're just screaming at the TV the whole time. But I really was invested in this movie quite a bit. I think the reason I put it a lot lower is because a lot of people were talking about this movie, and they were talking about how it may not be the most accurate for the actual story and portrayed certain things the right way or whatever. And that kind of really deflated Bohemian Rhapsody for me because I felt that was very dishonest with the way it portrayed a lot of things. So, with that movie, I think that's why it kind of deflated. But I talked myself into definitely putting it back on. I really want to rewatch it because I think it's a good movie.
I mean, if this were a documentary, I would agree with you, but I don't think movies
That's true.
need to be historically accurate.
That's true. And Aaron Sorkin is great. I love The Social Network. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have this like Malcolm, my number 10. I love this movie. This is a film that, I mean, I watch it like early in the morning whenever my girlfriend had. I could stop, look at my phone, watch it from start to finish. It was intense, insightful. The actor that you were talking about that had lawyer, that Abdul Disturbed from Aquaman, from Watchmen, he really became a actor to look out for, and he put on a very small performance there. You really want him to have a lawyer. You hate what the judge do to him. One of the most shocking moments in the movie when you have a gang like in a chair, all of that.
Yeah.
Even the prosecution had to say something.
Yeah, speaking of John Levitt, also really
Joseph
good
Gordon-
at the
Right.
the prosecution, and it showed both sides, and look at both sides, and you hate Frank Langella so much, and you want to punch this guy in the face out this movie. Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen great. Eddie Redmayne, the interrogation scene with him, by Sacha Baron Cohen, and they asked him why he made that one movement. See, going under the radar, Tim, a great moment of performance from him. And everybody doing a great job. I hope I hope Sacha Baron Cohen get into this conversation for nomination. Made me also think Angela. I hope any women start to get top because his performance went under the rug compared to everybody else in the movie.
If I had, sorry, go ahead.
And that scene in particular is so good for his acting perspective, defending himself, saying, what I did is right, and they questioning him why he made that one decision, not spoiling much. And it's such a great performance from him. But yeah, I mean, I love it. Yeah, it's a little silly to the end with the end itself, but I see it's such an impactful movie that I just had a great time with it. I love Aaron Sorkin. I love Mulligan. I love this. I love Social Network. Can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah. Now on to my number one, which I love that no one knows my number one because it's not a pun from anything. But my number one movie is Artemis Fowl. Just kidding. I've talked about how much I hate Artemis Fowl many times. But my number one movie is The King of Staten Island. I thought this was a really great movie. This is what I've heard so much about from many friends overseas. And this is one that I actually got to see in a theatre, unlike everyone else. Because, this is... I could have seen Palm Springs in the theatre, but I missed that opportunity as well. But yeah, this is one that I went in not knowing what to expect. I'm not familiar with Pete Davidson at all. I know he's an SNL guy, but I other than that, I didn't know anything about him as an actor or anything. But going and seeing this movie about his life, so to speak, even though it's not really about his life. It's how, I don't know where the line draws, but I think he did write it with the intent of it being about his life. But yeah, this is just a fun movie, just showing a good coming of age story about him growing up and all that. Bill Burr is great in this. I can't remember anyone else that was in this movie.
Tomei and
yes,
Marissa Tomei is the one I was beginning. She was great, and
Steve Buscemi is really good in it. About like the
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just one of those movies which I didn't know what to expect, but then it just ended up being a really great movie. And yeah, but other than that, there has this closes off the best movies of a year, which may or may not be named ever again. But but yeah. But with that, there'll be a poll up on the Take Free Facebook page with the topics for next week. I've got some very fun ones there. But Chad, where can people find you online?
Well, first, I just want to say, Malcolm, if you thought that movie was hilarious, check out Pete Davidson's stand-up. He's hilarious. But anyways, yeah, I'm usually I do Letterbox, Chadwick_Webb, CWeb 1534, whatever comes up. I'm starting to try to do that a lot more in 2021, and I'm looking to hopefully do more Fan League trivia and stuff like that in 2021. So I hope to be present in around this community or whatever, but other than that, I'm just around here.
Chris, where can people find you online?
you can find me on Facebook. You can find me anywhere. This is my rough draft on my top 12 top channel list of the year, so I still have a few movies to check out. And now I
Same.
did get a chance to do One Night in Miami. I haven't seen Pieces of the Woman. So, and I think anything that you guys just recommended, I had to watch it well. I've had my list up toward probably January, February once things start to come out closer and have just had a chance to see. Right. But yeah, this is still a great year, and I can't wait to have a finalized list where I get to see, especially One Night in Miami and Minari. I mean, that's the amazing thing about some people.
Stephen, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter at Stephen A. Shepard, at Letterbox at S Shepard82. Yeah, my list probably won't be finalized until the end of February.
But yeah, you can find me all over the place. You can find me on Take Free Productions, hosting Rankum and Late Night. Rankum will be here again next week before Dev Topic wins the poll. I'll figure out something to do for Late Night as well. You can find me over on Formula. I host Formula Classic and Formula Random. Both of those are kind of on hiatus at the moment. Classic will probably be back about the mid-January, and Random will be back in January the 12th. But yeah, but until next time, just keep listing shit.